like this development on your Patreon. I didn't mean to have a nonsense over there. Good job. How's Keenan?
Oh, good.
Good. Yes.
It's a big baby. She's
big
already
baby.
7 pounds.
Well, they don't know that for sure.
Well, that's the thing, too. She might not be.
Ultrasound is very inaccurate for me.
Oh. Whoa.
It's a beautiful day. Do you want to hear? Can I sing my jingle?
Please.
Come with me to the news story. We can all go where the streets are safe. Let's get ready. We're not late. No, we're not. 'Cause one day soon we'll all be there. Come on, let's go to the news story. Let's go play. Learn how to live and grow together. Take care of you and me and the earth. Let's be free. Lift each other up and make a better day. Come on, let's go.
I think that's great.
It's the
I
new
don't-
Sesame Street.
I'm not getting anything in my headphones, though.
I don't have. I should put mine on.
I see it lighten up. I see it lighten up and responding, and I can hear the hum, but I'm not getting the vocal mics. I see them lighten up here.
I see. I hear myself.
You do hear yourself.
I do. I'm in the headphones.
You hear me?
I do.
Yeah, I bet you do.
I do.
Oh, I've discovered the problem.
That's my new jingle for my new kids show called The New Story.
It's great.
Thanks.
It's so appropriate.
You got a
like
different,
for that.
you got a
type of
different
thing.
adapter I can
Kids-
snag.
a different
yeah.
adapter.
This one's for these
got you.
headphones.
I had
I
High
guarantee
Point
you I got one here somewhere, but
Diner last night. I had High Point Diner at like 8:30, and I'm still The
Still
hamburger
fucked
is
up?
still in my tummy. I've never had that happen before. Why won't it go away?
what did you have?
Just a hamburger
Where?
at the High Point, the best burger joint.
Which one though?
McCausland. I've only ever been to that one. I think that's the original.
The other one was. Yeah, I put it back where I found it. Yes, God, we are back in business.
We are here. We are here. We are here.
Alrighty. Guys, as always, welcome back to Jacob V Weekly. We want to start like we do every week by reminding you to check out Caddyshack of Hamel, Illinois. We saved thousands of cats just last year, and you can find them at caddyshackil.org. Save a life or 9. Back with me today, my friend Zaza G.
Hello, world.
And I'm just so happy you're here. It's a new year.
Yes.
It's 2025, and there's just so much we could be worried about. I don't even know where to begin. What's on your heart this evening?
You know, I've been skating to Kendrick Lamar's song, The Heart Part 6 on repeat, and I am blessed, truly. Just finished that today. I've done 12,000 miles of roller skating at Forest Park, meditating on peace. And I think we can pull it off. I think we can make peace profitable. But first, I would like to show you my new hairdo.
Oh, yeah?
I would like to just clear something up.
Yeah, of course, please. This is the place.
Yeah. Well, I have been talking with the goddess. She's moved my hand, and she's revealed several important things for me, and I think for the world. And I'd like to also say that skinheads, we can be new skinheads. We can. They don't own that phrase.
Oh, yeah. They don't own skin on your head just because they want to use it for hate. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and a couple months ago, I watched some Nazis on an overpass headed out towards Chesterfield going to the Ren Fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Creve Corps.
It was terrifying, and that's not okay. And I received a Christmas email from Moms Demand Action instead of some sort of other action to try and cut down on the amount of violence and chaos that this world is unfolding every day.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the Tesla truck and the Trump Tower?
Well, they've been telling us that there were going to be widespread acts of terror sometime in the new year.
Yeah.
So whether or not they were all individually coordinated, I mean, they could have been given the idea by some of these podcasts that the CIA goes on and says things like, oh, people are going to drive trucks into parades and people are going to blow cars up in front of buildings. I'm like, well, now aren't you telling them to do that? So the photograph was very ominous. The burning Cybertruck in front of the gold Trump letters on the building.
I think it was a call to action.
Yeah, I think there's going to be, because it's not. I mean, the vigilantism is going to pick up before it settles down.
Yes.
As the regime changes over.
We enter into a new fascist state.
Which I'm into.
Are you?
No. No, I don't know what to. I don't know. But if they show up here and they ask for us, that's what we're going to say. We're going to say we voted for them and that they're children of God, because that'll get them out of here.
I'm so glad you brought up God.
Yeah.
So I have these ideas about how to move the needle. I'm not terrified anymore, because I do think that with my toxic masculinity quiz, we can start bringing up an agenda that may move the needle faster than they can think, because it's just a matter of misunderstanding. Fascism is one way of taking care of people, but there are other ways, and we have forgotten that. And I think my toxic masculinity quiz will really resonate with people, or it'll really piss them off, because it seems to be good art. Anyway, my theory is there's too much fire in the world, but there's only a small amount of it. We just happen to believe it right now.
You know what I like?
What?
Ice.
Water is the key. Okay, so a spoon is just a tiny bowl, and the revolution starts with a bowl of water.
The spoon is just a tiny bowl. I have been saying that.
That is one of the key phrases of the revolution. Would you like to take the quiz?
I think we should do it.
Okay, we're going to take the quiz.
We'll do it.
And
you'll read it and I'll respond?
Yes.
Okay.
And we're going to take the original quiz, which is about X-rated, but I do have a different version of it for, the Catholic priests I gave it to the other day at Art Hill.
You have a clean version?
I do. So
I don't mind taking
the real one?
I'll take the real one.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 33, same as Jesus.
That's a beautiful year to be alive. Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Let's see. Do you think vasectomy is a viable form of birth control? Yes or no?
Yes.
Do you believe in the current interpretation of the United States Second Amendment?
No.
How well do you use your left hand? Not at all, hardly ever, occasionally, or I am left-handed?
Occasionally.
Okay. Do you think gender parity in the private and public sector would be a good thing? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, gender parity for our listeners is if you have a board of 12 people, they would be required to be 6 men and 6 women. Mexico already has it, by the way, and has for almost 20 years. Are you a Christian?
No.
Okay. Have you ever made a woman squirt before?
Oh.
Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Do you believe in gender? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So your points are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8. Oh, sorry, you got 1 point for that. Okay, you got 8 points out of 27. Congratulations. So 27 points would mean you're full toxic male, and we need to make severe measures to calm your fire. The closer you are to a 0 means the closer you are to the water, which women have forgotten their water over the past few millennia. Ever since handedness was evolved, 90% of the world subscribed to the idea that the right is righteous, correct, and powerful. 90% of the world believe in the masculine version of reality, which I no longer live in. The left side of the body is the feminine side and has been deemed impure, evil, wicked, wrong, dirty by every single culture on the planet. For thousands of years, we've been encouraged to buy into the male story and virtually be righteous with it. Now, let's go on to the right-hand side of God. Who sits on the right-hand side of God? Lucius, do you know?
I believe that's Jesus.
Yes, Jesus does. And then guess what? It's said in the second commandment that you're not supposed to worship false idols. But if a righteous God of all-knowing Heavenly Father sent the King of Kings down to save the world, do you think that when you look in the mirror, you feel verified that your King of Kings came to save you and you happen to look like him? Doesn't that seem like a verification? And then if a woman looks in the mirror, we immediately see what might be perceived as the opposite of God, because there is no verification. I say it's all a fucking lie, and that women sit on the left-hand side of God. We were cut out of the conversation. We were written out of the Bible, but we are sitting here now. If we can dial the needle to the left sharply through our children, the men and the women of our country, actually just St. Louis in a grassroots way, we could live in the first city of peace on earth. I truly believe that. First, we have to retrain our children to learn how to use their left hand. We've got to bring this consciousness back because it needs to be equal again. This will take decades. This is the beginning of a beautiful new idea. We don't need bullets anymore, so we could technically repeal the Second Amendment. We could install gender parity and start taking care of each other, because no woman would let the earth suffer as it is at this moment. No woman would let corporate greed get to the point that it has. No Defense Department would use bullets anymore if women would speak, because women are creators. We do not need the wound created by capitalism or the patriarchy or misogyny. Women are collectivist. We tend to be cooperative. Women renew it in the water. The water is receptive. Women need to remember their power. Women need to start squirting a lot, because we need to fuck the men so much so they get so fucking tired, we can take their bullets, literally and figuratively. You shoot bullets from your penis, and men shoot bullets from AR-15s. The number one killer of children in our country right now is gun violence. It doesn't have to be this way. Women need to rise up. Men need to sit down. We need to get closer to the water. Okay, that was a lot.
The part I really like is where people have so much intercourse that they're too exhausted for violence.
Yes.
I don't think that's a bad idea, especially if we could, in a consensual, safe way. You know what I mean? Because there's people that say things like that. Dr. Drew and his wife are like 70 years old, and apparently they bone all the time because they're on hormone replacement therapy. And part of their thing is he doesn't have time to cheat on his wife because he has so much chi he has to save for her because she's an insatiable beast. And I think that's beautiful.
I think all women could be. Now, not everybody loves sex, and that's okay too.
And that's fine. Bake a cake.
That's fine. But I'm talking about women. You wouldn't believe how many women have never squirted that I've given this quiz to. And women are upset about it. And I go get a rose, honey. I don't use toys personally, but they do help. And the thing is, women around the world are calling for a pussy strike, but we've got it all wrong, because feminism is based in pleasure. Women have forgotten their water because we have repressed the feminine side for thousands of years. If women can remember their water, we can bring the new flood. Literally, the great flood saved the earth, and women can do it once more. We can retire the old story and birth the new story together. It can work. We just need a lot less men. I'm talking mandatory vasectomies at age 12, okay? Then we borrow your fire. No one's dying here. We just need to borrow your fire. We'll give you back your fire when you turn 26, okay? Maybe you want to have kids, maybe you don't. We just don't need these toxic men. If you're guilty of rape, if you're guilty of assault or murder, you don't need to reproduce anymore, sir. You've lost your ability to participate in society. Go have a lot of sex, but we're taking your bullets, motherfuckers. I'm not fucking around here. We need to move this needle fast. There is a fucking fascist regime taking over, and no one is having these conversations. I want people to take this quiz. I want people to see my emblem, and I want them to know who I am, goddammit. I'm Za Goodbreak, and this is time that we acted. I'm not talking about revolution. I'm talking about moving the needle. Get women in the seats. Put a woman in every seat. 78 other fucking countries have put a woman as a head of state, and we can't fucking get it done? We elected a fascist regime instead of giving a woman a chance? That is some bullshit. I renounce my citizenship to the United States. If this is the way it's gonna be, it's dead. America's fucking dead. We don't live in a democracy anymore. This is a fucking sham. Men have made every law, every statute, every command ever written. It's over. We need to we need to move the needle to the left.
So, where where might a normal listener start with that?
Have this quiz. Have these conversations with your girlfriends.
Do we have that somewhere?
The
Can we
quiz,
link that?
you can post that quiz and the conversation.
Do you have that in a PDF?
I could send it along.
Because I'll put it on the website.
If we don't start talking about repealing the Second Amendment and saying this doesn't need to be like this anymore.
I just watched a documentary this morning while I was cleaning up my library about St. Louis and the gun violence in the city of St. Louis and it gives some background for people that aren't familiar with some of the racial trauma of the region is how I would refer to it. And one lady they interviewed immediately said, the gun laws in Missouri don't make any sense for St. Louis. That there are high school age children that can open carry a rifle in the street in the city of St. Louis, and aspects of that behavior are totally legal because we have like deer rifle laws that have been, kind of neglected in a way that don't necessarily think about the biodiversity of Missouri as a whole place. Which, I mean, it's part of the frustration. Chicago has this problem with the rest of Illinois. Kansas City has problems because they're split between two states, and then the rest of those states are not city-like.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
But we in the South, baby, we the wild, wild west of the East.
That's the thing. I actually... because Texas has this reputation of everyone has a gun or whatever, there's actually more regulations for gun ownership in Texas than there are in Missouri.
Well, I recently went to buy a gun, and it was a broken gun. It was a revolver. It's about 100 years old. And I couldn't get bullets for it, but I went to Olin Corporation to do a little action protest because we really do need to use the water because the bullets in the water, they won't work anymore. So it's a metaphor.
Oh, this happened. There was a place called... It was like a gun store in the middle of the woods or something that my dad and his friends would go and buy. It was the guy's name. I don't remember. But they would go and buy their like shotgun shells for the waterfowl they murder and ceremoniously on weekends. And... early in the morning. It's like a dawn sacrifice. It's weird. And but the building had caught fire, and so they had to put it out with hoses, but then there was hundreds of thousands of dollars probably of ammunition that got wet, and that was a problem.
Yes. We need to do that a lot more.
When you said that, that's what that made me think of.
So I actually didn't need the gun. I just used the bullets, and I did. Olin Corporation produces more bullets. Their corporate headquarters are in downtown Clayton.
Really?
Yeah. So the thing is, the arch is a feminine symbol, okay? And it was built here in preparation to make St. Louis the first city of peace on earth. The arch can be a great representation of,
Did you know my great-grandfather built the arch?
That's wonderful.
He was a crane operator on the crew that finished it.
That's just incredible.
His name was Sylvester. He smoked unfiltered Camels. And my last Christmas with him, he walked around and gave all of his great-grandkids $20, just broke it off. No card, just with his shirt tucked in.
Nice.
He was like 90.
That's amazing.
And just crisp, bam, bam. And I actually loved it. I thought that was some gangster shit. And then he saved our lives on tour. We were almost out of gas, and we didn't think we were going to make it to the next gas station in the Honda Odyssey with no antics.
Yeah.
But we were able to glide in to like a little Shell station. It wasn't like a truck stop, even though we were, long roading it. And right next to the gas station was a Bob Evans. And that was
Bob Evans.
That was Sylvester's favorite restaurant.
Some biscuits and gravy.
He went to Bob Evans with his girlfriend all the time.
It's a good spot.
So
I'm more of a Waffle House gal myself.
But you're saying, what about the arch?
The arch is a feminine representation of what we need to do with the binary. I no longer believe gender is a relative way to describe men and women, because you guys are already living in the new story. You're not toxic masculine at all. And women, there just doesn't need to be this notion of gender anymore. And also in politics, the right, the righteous, the correct, all of this on the right-hand side and the left is really a feminine, masculine thing. We need to turn and binary and make a circle. And so if we completed the arch underneath the ground, it would just be a beautiful big necklace, and we can all live here together in peace. Now, what I think is that even if we soak all the bullets in the water, we should still let anyone ever affected by slavery that served our country under inhumane conditions, they should be allowed to have a double-barrel shotgun per. So yes, I think black men and women should still. Wouldn't that be amazing if all the white people couldn't have guns anymore and just and then certain people in zip codes that like shoot bears and stuff should be allowed to have a shotgun, I think.
This is such a great, and I'm going to speak to this as a victim of something that I feel like was really hard for me. And Lucius, I would love your perspective on this because you were in a Catholic environment and this would have happened, and they don't do them the same way anymore because they found them to be traumatic. We used to do like active shooter drills that were like scary because you couldn't just lock the door and turn the lights off and line up. You had to like figure out where in the room would you really hide, and then terrible things were happening when I was at the university level. In schools all over the place. So we talked about it a lot. And then I immediately started working in schools, and we got training from that little Serbian guy.
Yeah.
That where he was like demonstrating to us. We're all exhausted teachers. I'm probably hungover at the time. And he's saying, see this table? A bullet will go right through this table. You want to get behind like a beam or like, so I'm like, I can't even hide. Like I can't even plan to shelter in place. And it just the kind of conditioning and training that they put you through. I both as a teacher and as a student of at least our generation was much scarier than anything we were witnessing in the neighborhood we lived in. You know what I mean? Like it was very confusing and not nurtured appropriately. Did you guys have to do drills of any kind?
We did. We had a special code called Father Lockwood. And if if they would go over the intercom and say, "Hey, Father Lockwood's on campus," we would all know that there's like a suspicious character, possibly.
It sounds suspicious.
It
sounds like a villain.
Shooter. I don't know if it was school shooter pointed or if it was just suspicious character in general. But yeah, because I don't remember doing drills that were like, get down under certain things. But yeah, I also think that it was a part of that. Got to get to the corner of the room.
There was one time
on the
a
same
colleague
wall
of
as the
ours
door
who had been in the military interrupted the training to say, "This is what I would do," and she picked up a chair and showed us how she would attack somebody with a chair. And she like molded the chair to like the front of her body so she could like had these prongs sticking out. She could like ram somebody with. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm struggling with this because people can't read. And now you're telling me I'm going to get shot in the face and I can't even hide behind the tables because we don't even get real tables anymore.
So the great thing about my new kids show called The News Story is that when children connect with the world that we create on the inside, just like Mr. Rogers, he had the world on the outside, and then you would cross over to Imagination Land or whatever he called it. So inside the news story where all the puppets are, children will learn that they're already living in this place where there are no more active school shooters situations or drills, and that women and men are able to co-create a safe environment for them. And also they're encouraged to eat, have less screen time and go outside and eat 7 fruits and veggies a day, GFEDCBA. And there's all these exciting things about my show. And if kids learn the alphabet backwards and learn that left is correct and that right is the practice, maybe through a lot of different ways, which I have ideas for, they'll start asking for the news story by name. They want to live there. The children will know first. The message that I was spouting off and being very fervent about, and
it's important.
Don't
it's
like
raising
my voice.
You got to give people the energy, though, so they know when you're serious.
I was very serious.
It's a useful tool. We're vocal creatures.
I am more concerned. I'm more interested in recruiting children for this new story because their ears are much more forgiving and they see with their hearts. It's an oral thing, and like we want to watch it and hear it instead of have to read it in a book because the new story exists through. Well, when the Bible was written and the Gutenberg press was, coming and printing Bibles, they got rid of every goddess and every visual image and representation of women. It just disappeared off the face of history. And we stopped doing things like that. And I think we need to bring back that image. I want to make a pinup calendar because
I love a pinup.
Yeah, men love. I
love it. And I love a calendar.
They like to see
Put
the
me
image.
down for 2.
We just need to snap out of it. And I'm debuting my new song, FOC, tonight. I want to start a new political party called the FOC. for the advancement of women and children.
Do you have all this written down somewhere?
Yeah. And we need to operate out of Forest Park, out of the Department of Offensive Neutrality.
That I'm for.
Offensive neutrality.
Do you remember in Men in Black at the end where they realized that those two towers that were on their seafront in that town they lived in were actually old spaceships? Right?
No, I don't
there's got to be a
remember.
reason that Forest Park is still held to be so sacred, considering that they let everything literally around it go to shit so instantly over the last 100 years. It's got to be a sacred place.
Do you know what was called the River of Fathers, the River de Pere, and it actually runs under Forest Park, but they buried it. So we need to get that river up and rename it the River of Mothers. Rename King's Highway Queen's Highway.
Oh, Queens Highway.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm getting on board. Now I'm really snapping into it. Now I'm really getting the vision.
So my idea is that women need to start coming and meeting and gathering and talking, and men too, 3:30s on Sunday at the Basin. I've been doing a silent disco and standing up on the big concrete areas, and we need to have a big dance party because dancing is the same thing as squirting. American men don't dance. We lost that from the culture hundreds of years ago. It's very sad. You watch a kindergartner dance and they boogie. Men boogie, and then they stop because toxic masculinity has taken over this idea that pleasure is embarrassing. You know how many fucking people
stolen the
point at
boogie.
me and giggle when I'm laughing out dancing? That's bullshit. You should dance too. You're fucking jealous.
Yeah.
Get on the floor and start fucking dancing the new story back in.
Yeah.
We do it through dance. We do it through
think-
sex.
I
We
think
don't
dan-
have meaningful conversations about violence and what we want our little boys to learn about this world.
That's just so much at once. We do it through dance. We do it through sex. We do it through meaningful conversations about violence. You know what I mean?
But the thing is
it's
that
because it's not that it's not true. It's just it's funny when you put it all together so rapidly like that.
it's all making sense. No one has to die. Here's what Hitler had wrong. Gaddafi had wrong. Mao had wrong. Stalin had wrong. Pinochet, all these dictators thought they had to kill a bunch of fucking people to get their point across. Nobody has to die. We just have to start looking at the world a little bit differently. What is left is right. What is right is left. We need to reverse the poles in our heads to understand that peace is profitable. Women can make peace profitable if people would just fucking listen. And we're literally only talking about 3 and 54 men that hold the flame. They are hollow men. They do not hold the story any longer. That's the old story. We don't have to listen or be like that anymore. We can do this in our little town, and we can do it out of Forest Park. The revolution is now. And no one has to die. It's a nonviolent international movement that starts here in St. Louis, Missouri. Everybody's going to hear about it. Everybody wants to live in the news story. Everybody wants to make peace profitable. Everybody wants women to have equal voice to men. Everyone wants children to go to school without the fear of being fucking shot. I'm fucking sick of this bullshit. I don't live here anymore. I live in this place called the News Story, and I want people to fucking hear about it. I'm Zaza Goodbreak.
And Dick Cheney is walking around with some other guy's heart.
Dick Cheney's alive?
That's what I'm saying. The injustice. Dick Cheney's fine.
There are more children on this planet at this moment suffering from food insecurity, conflict, no access to healthcare or education than in the history of the world combined. The world is on fire. Let's move all the people from Gaza here. Revitalize the fucking city.
Where would you put him?
In the city.
Which one?
St. Louis. And then we need to
Which
dissolve
part?
the boundary between the county and the city. We need to unify.
From Gaza?
Yeah, why not?
Where?
We'll figure it out.
I guess they're not the ones that are picky.
If you started the first city of peace on earth, wouldn't you want to live here too?
Do they want to come here?
If we
The Gazans?
if we make peace profitable, everybody will want to come. Shit, we got room for we don't have room for 8 billion people, but look how much land the United States has. If we get this correct, if we start making the whole world right at this moment is got a big bowl of popcorn and they're just like, watch them go. They're terrified, but at the same time, they're incredibly satisfied because the largest experiment in world history with the oldest living document governing a group of people in
most
the
arrogance.
history of the world is crumbling. It is going to fall. How are we preparing?
So,
We got to ante up. We got to ante up. We need to have these conversations, V.
and you think we do some of that vaginally?
Absolutely. Women's power is in pleasure. Once we gain our pleasure back, and men bow to our power because they want us to be pleasured.
Do women push back on you with that part about using sexual pleasure as an access point towards nonviolence?
You know, I was shut down with this quiz on a big 27,000 person Crohn's Facebook group. I was called a toxic feminist. I was immediately, there were over 35 comments in 17 minutes, and then it got shut down. So it's striking a nerve, this little questionnaire about toxic masculinity. I am not a toxic feminist. If you don't want to squirt, that is your business. But I am reminding a good deal of the women out there that want to, that you can. You have 2 sets of glands right there. There's called the Bartholomew's gland, and it is called the Skene's gland. You have them. Use them.
Who was Bartholomew?
I don't know what he was, but he discovered these glands.
Can you give me a diagram on that?
Of the Skene's glands and the Bartholomew's gland. So if women get into, so this is when you know you have some art in front of you, and when it becomes very controversial and people are calling you names.
Because it's amplifying energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't agree with me, how about do you ever dance? How about just putting you in touch with the
I think that should be
divine?
on the quiz. You didn't ask me that.
Well, I have to replace question 8 with that.
I think that's a good idea. I don't think. I think if there were 2 levels, if the New Story 101 was the version with the dance,
yes.
and then version 201 was with that one, I think that's a good way to build it.
Okay. It has to be top score.
Just because you don't want that concept to
No, that's
alien-
bullshit. We live in a puritanical culture. We need to have a meaningful conversation about sex. I am
think so.
convinced that
I
this
think
is
so.
okay. This has got to be
and
okay.
and that's why I'm not shutting it down. I just think I think some of your audience that could benefit from engaging in this entire rhetoric might initially become defensive with the use of that terminology or that concept.
Well,
but I think it's also important. How much longer are you gonna kid gloves them with everything? You know what I mean? Because you're
That's what I'm
talking about
saying.
radicalizing their sexuality to move them in a nonviolent direction, which I think is so interesting.
well, it's really for the men. I mean, women get a lot of pleasure out of it, but the idea is to make the men so tired that we can take their bullets while they're sleeping. Because the last thing a man wants to do after a
That's cold.
good romp.
You know what? That's hilarious. That happened to James Bond in Die Another Day. This girl he lied with end up to be a double agent. He had his gun under the pillow, and then the next day he finds out she's a double agent. And he goes to shoot her, and his gun is empty because that's exactly what happened. While he was asleep,
I love it.
in the throes of pleasure, she took all of the bullets out of his Walther P99, I believe he had upgraded to by then. They made that switch in Tomorrow Never Dies.
I love it. He sent you the diagram.
Of the glands?
Of the glands.
Oh, fuck.
It says the secret. This should not be a secret.
I'm afraid to open this.
It should not be a secret.
How do I open it in an incognito tab? Oh, it's just a Google image.
I just like the metaphor of flooding the earth again with the amount of pleasure that women have in their pussies. Our pussies are represented by the planet. And we have been repressing and destroying the planet for a very long time.
I've never seen this diagram before.
Abortion is so bloody. Vasectomy is bloodless. It's painless. Abortion creates death and suffering. Why don't we shift the burden of pregnancy to the men? Let us be. Leave us alone. We want to be left alone. Ugh. Now, I think reproduction is wonderful. Being a mother is wonderful. I have 2 little girls. But I think that the burden of pregnancy should be left in the men, and women need to be left alone.
So I was just discovering this about seahorses that I didn't understand. The reason that the male seahorse gives birth to the baby seahorses is because he fertilizes the eggs within the female, and then or maybe outside betwixt them, and then but then she transfers the fertilized eggs to him, and he carries them, which in a way makes a lot of sense if you're looking at from a defensive standpoint. Like, if you're worried about your baby being safe, having a stay-at-home father for that baby probably helps a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because I'm gadded up.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody coming for this baby. People could go act crazy at a daycare because you can't have guns in the building. I got, you know what I mean? You come to my house, act crazy with my baby. I've learned how to throw knives. I'll throw a knife.
Now, knife stabbings and death will
That's
go
going to be a
up.
problem. The stabbings are going to go
It'll
up.
go up.
It's going to go up because the guns are all going to be
But
empty.
I'll tell you what, you can't kill 14 first graders in 15 seconds anymore.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot longer.
You take your pick, okay?
It's going to take a lot longer. Which because heaven forbid such an atrocity were to continue to keep happening year after year. But with knives, it's different. It's very different.
You know, what's also different is thinking things in terms of these billionaires not having power anymore. I mean, I'm getting marketed Luigi t-shirts left and right, memes of this adorable 25-year-old man who made a choice to wake the world the fuck up. People are tired. People don't want this form of healthcare anymore. We don't want this form of government coming in on January 21st. We don't want it anymore, and we're scared. But here's the thing, and I said this last time I was on your show. There is no opposite to love. We are all basking in the pure radiance of the divine eternal feminine. She's already with us. She lives here, and she's speaking loudly. If we can tune in to our left side, if we can listen to women by bringing their power back through pleasure, if we can wake the children up to this dawn of a new era, we can bask in the radiance of her divine eternal power. And there is no opposite to love. There's only the response to the lack of love. There's only the response to the need for love. All of this violence is just a wound. But here's the thing. Men go out and create the wound. Let us have it back. We have the wound. We have the wound every single month. We have the wound of childbearing. We understand pain. Let us have it. Stop going out and creating more. It's too much work. You're tired. Have a seat. Have a blowjob. Do some boxing or wrestling. I'm not saying don't fight. Just stop fucking killing people and taking all the resources.
Now, since you brought it up, this is a thing. I screen thousands of phone calls on social media of people calling into radio shows for relationship advice, because I just get them all these radio shows that still exist, if they're lucky enough to, they clip out their stuff for like TikTok and stuff now. And a theme I've noticed is that people have expectations of sexuality within their marriage that are not in Congress with one another. They don't align their expectations in a compassionate way.
Yeah.
And so you then set up a long period of frustration, and then somebody sounds like an asshole because they finally express that, hey, I have sexual needs that are not being met.
Resentment and contempt.
So, right, and that's bad.
Resentment and contempt are one of the 4 horsemen of divorce. Divorce. Oh my God, not divorce.
Right, which is bad. I don't like divorce.
I don't like marriage.
Right. Right. But I always say, don't get married if you're gonna get divorced.
Then they got a 50-50 chance.
Everyone's living in sin nowadays anyway. Just live in sin.
This whole idea of sin and sinliness. Oh, God.
But where was I going with that?
I don't know. You were saying about a partner becoming having contempt
So,
for not being satisfied intimately.
Do you worry about this message and this ideology taking hold amongst relationships where maybe sexuality is a problem for them?
It might open up a whole new door and shatter their earth. I mean...
But how do you get them to buy in?
Go get a rose. I mean, once you start squirting, you never want to stop. Now, women can do it to themselves. They don't need a partner necessarily.
So how does that lead to peace?
Peace is profitable with our pussies. Our pussies are the planet.
Right.
Duh.
Okay, but I'm having a step 1.
Oh, a gap.
Step 3.
Yes.
I'm having a step 1, step 3.
So by installing gender parity as quickly as possible within our next few elections and getting women into these seats, we will start making policies that reflect the people that live in our area. The people in our area are exhausted of the toxic masculine ickiness that is running the area. We can address this through our policies and also by organizing around these issues at Forest Park.
Every Sunday at 3:30.
Every Sunday at 3:30. That's where I go meditate on peace. I have a silent disco, and I put bullets in the water.
And a silent disco is where you get to pick the music you're dancing to, but you're dancing in a space in Congress with other people.
Yeah, I'm doing that because I don't think they'd allow me to have a sound system in a dance party.
Well, I think it's polite. A silent disco is very polite because you really get to pick the environment and you're not forcing yourself on anybody.
Yeah.
I support it. And you can join a jam on Spotify if you're nearby another Spotify user. And so everyone, for example, I'm sure other apps have similar features, but like we could all be listening to the same thing at the same time on all of our separate devices.
Wouldn't that be fun?
It is fun, and it's fun to do as the seasons are changing.
Oh, I love Forest Park.
There's
I spend
great
so much
parking
time there.
by the basin, that whole road.
Absolutely.
Fill it up.
Yeah.
Fill it up. There's not a major entrance to anything right there, so you just, hang out in your car even. Stand on the roof of your Kia Soul.
Ooh, baby.
Do you remember when those were 2 for $1?
Oh, my goodness. Now, I know it takes a little bit of exhibitionism to come out to a park and dance for everyone to see, but I'm hoping that women would like to come with me to do it. Otherwise, I do it by myself. It don't bother me.
No, I mean, I think it's a great recruitment image to explain, like, listen, we're out here dancing because this is where we want to take the world forward, and we feel like dancing is a great first step for that.
Yes.
And it creates that conversation in a really non-threatening way.
Yes.
Because, you want to de-escalate the threats
Yes.
that people are living in all the time.
And the pleasure part where women start remembering their water and bringing the goddess back within their body. The double effect and the true effect is to tone it down in the man and make him, just get him tired. He needs to be having more sex and less making it war. Make love, not war.
So war, and adjacent phenomenon like the excesses and whatnot of late stage capitalism, maybe.
Yes.
Kind of, you think they come from a similar place of some sexual repression?
Yeah, sex is free. It doesn't cost any money unless, go get your annual check, of course. Take care of your health and your spirit. But you feel a lot less lack when you're very balanced with your chakras. And that sexual chakra for women, I believe, because we've forgotten our water over a couple millennia, has really diminished. And we're not spinning on all
What's the motive?
energy centers there.
Say it goes back to the Holy Roman Empire.
Sure.
Right? But what's the motive to repress the feminine in this case?
Men are just jealous of our wound. They can't create. And you want to go out and fuck shit up over it.
Yeah.
We can co-create this world together, I think.
Yeah.
But the repression is really passé now. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like I said, the needle is scary over here on the right. And I know a lot of my ideas. I also think we need to decriminalize drugs and sex work.
What's the motive to keep those things illegal, you think?
Profit, money, keeping women from being entrepreneurs for real work that should be paid accordingly. Should be legal. This is a lot.
So why do you think are we not being given the option to legalize it, or are like people voting against it?
There was a major change in the federal laws about how sex work is handled. And I forget what the act is. It's in one of my journals. But it really clamped down.
You got to digitize some of this shit, bro. Do you have a webpage for people to land on for any of this shit?
I don't, and I need a funder.
I
need a funder. I'm going to write a grant for the puppet show that I'm doing called The New Kid Story.
That'll help.
Yeah, that'll help. But the funding cycle is messed up. I need.
But you need a QR code and a link tree.
I do, and I want this play I have a one-act feminist surrealist play that I think I would like to produce. I'm going to do it down at the Green Finch, which is the old
I was
the
just
Way
there.
Out Club.
I was
Were
just
you?
there shooting all weekend. This is going to be in pieces on Patreon, but Kyrkos did their Winter Solstice Festival there for the first time.
Oh, that sounds so fun.
Just last Friday and Saturday, and I got video and high-quality audio of all 7 acts that weekend.
Wow.
And
It's a wonderful place.
it's beautiful, and it's a lot of fun to do exactly that to shoot a performance of something, because it's really, really great. the lights are way overkill for the space, and they're set up kind of nice. And then you have the live sound capacity, but then it's good for shooting, and because the theater is blacked out, it's black box style.
Yep.
Which I've always loved as a creative space, a black box.
For sure.
And the projector works, and it's not in the way of anything.
If I do this play, would you like to be my AV guy?
Yeah, I think and because then we can shoot the whole thing.
That would be wonderful.
And we can do like mics across the stage in such a way that we don't have to mess with it would be easy.
Very nice.
Oh, we could do a couple overheads from the ceiling, brother.
Ooh. Yes. So I'm in a rap competition tonight.
Where?
At the Oz.
Oh my.
If I win, which I know better than to show up. This is like my third or fourth time where they're not going to let the white lady win, but I want to try. You get $200 a video, and you get to open up for Frost money at Frost Night, which is the biggest rap gathering of the year at Pops in February.
This is such a harrowing tale. This is such a Cinderella story.
I hope I can do it. I've tried so hard. I've worked
My
45
God.
hours on this song, which started in your basement and has grown a lot. And then also rehearsed, and I just want to do it well.
Who judges that? The audience?
I don't know who's judging. Frosty, for sure.
But who's judged historically?
I haven't been in this particular competition.
Okay. All right.
I don't know how many people are going to show up. I don't know how many people are entered, but I'm going to do my best.
Well, that's all we can ask of you
There you go.
in this sensitive time.
I had a really good rehearsal yesterday at the Grand Basin.
Yeah.
I had some breakthroughs. I think I'm ready.
You know, that also is a great place for the beautiful light we get at certain times of day at this longitude.
Yes.
Specifically, that's a great place to witness sunrise or sunset. The whole afternoon really there is lovely.
The bald eagle said hi to me for 2 days in a row this week. This is really great.
Is she nesting near there?
There's a mated pair that come back every year the past few years.
Precious.
I spend so much time there. But I also want to say, know what? I'm writing an op-ed to the Post-Dispatch just about gender parity. Because people don't know what it is, and we need to start having
important.
this conversation.
It's so hard.
It's time to have this conversation.
Yeah. Vocabulary is step one.
And so I'm writing a letter to the Post-Dispatch. What was I going to go with that? I don't
Because you're doing the play at the Greenfinch.
I want to do the play at the Greenfinch.
It's real easy to set up and book. I can walk you through the whole thing.
I talked to Bradley last night.
Good.
He was in charge there.
Good,
he
met
read
him.
my play, and he called it agitating propaganda. I think it was a compliment.
I hope so.
But it is like drinking from a fire hose. I'm not sure if I should do it or not. I have to cast it, and I need money. So that might be put on hold. And I wanted the puppet show. Oh, the song, though. I really hope. Because the song is called FOC, for the Advancement of Women and Children. And I've worked very, very, very hard on it. If I lose tonight, I think I'll retire the rap hat and just go for the kids' show.
Well, and I just think rap in a traditional sense is a tough nut to crack, especially in your position.
Yeah.
Whereas with the freedom of the way we make and fund even content now, taking it online allows it to just be what it's supposed to be, to communicate your message in a way that's meaningful to you without having to actually break into a market that lots of other people are in for other reasons.
Yeah. And there's not a huge lane for radical feminist rap.
But there's a huge...
Is there?
I don't know that I would say that, because it sounds like a great idea. If Vice published an article tomorrow and said the hot new lane of radical feminist rap, I'd click on that motherfucker.
Sweet.
Especially if it was you at the Grand Basin with your roller skates. Are you kidding me? I'm going to, you know what? I'll write that article. Let's do it. But this is what I'm saying. We don't have a place to send these women who are going to listen to this.
I just don't. I can't figure out. I've got all these ideas that I want to share with the world. I don't know what the best platform is. I don't know the best way to get it out.
I have been trying to centralize, because I used to make a bunch of QR codes to all of my different things to put in various places, or sometimes this is a terrible practice I've discovered, putting a bunch of QR codes to different places on one document together.
Yeah.
It's not helpful. And QR codes are, popular again for a lot of reasons, but it's not like the answer to everything. But if you had one QR code to one central location, like I have my website, jacobv.com, where kind of I have a page on there for any of the various things I do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't have to pick one. It's not just music on Bandcamp or just writing on Substack or just video on YouTube. It's kind of, all of those things can kind of meet at that one point. And so, and also they can link to, this is a prime candidate to grow into something that would have a Patreon. I mean, we got to get you some startup content is really what you need.
I guess my message for the women and men is very different from the children. And so it's hard to put it all in one place because there's things for the children that they shouldn't see. So it's a little controversial translating this message in 3 different ways.
Yeah. But that's also important. Like we've learned that because it's a long, we're talking a generational thing we're trying to correct. And
actually ancestral thing.
Yeah. And so it requires education at a grassroots
scaffolded level.
And we've done it with other things. We've done it with less important things. Like, not that seatbelts aren't important, but, my dad graduated from high school never really being reminded to buckle up all that often.
Yes.
But then by the 90s, all those people had kids saying, "Daddy, buckle your seatbelt."
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it was the same with smoking. I remember my cousin convincing my aunt to quit smoking because she was like, "They told me at school that you're going to die if you keep smoking." She's like, "Okay, now I can't smoke in front of my kid, I guess." And, because if you get all the way to 40, 50 years old and you're doing a behavior, especially if it's bad for you and you're still doing it, it's so deeply embedded in there that somebody that you'll actually listen to has to come up and say, "Hey, whoa, that you don't have to do that."
That's how I feel about this new story. I think people need to start asking for it by name. I don't know. It's giving me a lot of hope, though. And when I tune into these messages and these ways of thinking about the earth, I feel relief. And that's what we all desperately need is relief. Our children need relief around the world. And I think that we have enough resources to figure it out. We could provide health care for the world. We could feed and clothe and shelter the world if we just get together and change the narrative. And part of that is extinguishing the flames of toxic masculinity. That's where this is coming from. It is the righteous right hand of God that's telling a story, reinforcing this world that is no longer working. It's not.
Can you talk to Lucius for a second while I pee?
Yes, okay.
I don't want to stop you because I love the rhythm we're in.
It's a good one.
I drank a lot of Diet Coke on my way here.
I know.
You know how I am.
You do drink a lot of Diet Coke. I drink a lot of fizzy waters.
Yeah, I think I could make the switch.
So I was in the psych ward for a week, and I wrote my memoir with a golf pencil. That's all they would let me have.
Yeah.
And it got shorter and shorter. They would only sharpen my pencils every so often, and so I got this hand to the pencil to sit in my palm, and I had to hold it like this. So I wrote that, and I ended up. It's about 50,000 words, so about 110 pages, and I took it a yurt over the solstice, and I got caught there all the way through Christmas Day because it was just wonderful. I was writing, and I decided the memoir has got a lot of trauma in it, and it was just a healing tool. And I did some deep resting in that yurt, and the goddess came back and helped me write this play. And that's what I decided that is more important to tell this story. And I don't even know if this is the correct vehicle for it, because when I had somebody, not many people have read it, but when somebody read it last night, they just called it agitprop. Agitating propaganda. What do you think that means?
I think that it could go either way. I think it depends on his sentiment, I guess, as far as like saying it. But agitated propaganda, I mean, yeah, because if you want to agitate a certain group of people, to get them to listen, I think that could be. But also, propaganda is also a weird word.
I think we need more propaganda centered towards this message.
Yeah.
So yes, I'll take it as a compliment.
For sure.
Even if he didn't mean it. What's going on the other side?
Oh, I'm just checking make sure all the cameras are working. You feel like maybe that guy meant that disrespectfully?
No, I think I don't know.
It's just
I
it's not
think- I
very
mean,
direct. Well,
he
he
seems
can't
to
hear
be
me, but-
into the fringe thing, and if you can make an event work there for the price that they need to make it viable for them, I don't think he's trying to dictate what kind of stuff people are
Oh
booking.
no! And I met with a very learned guy last night who's been running the Midnight Theater Company for decades, and he's like, "You can do this." Yes, I'm like, "Okay, cool." Getting
It's-
his
and I
blessing was
think-
nice.
But
But I don't.
small format theater is a great launching pad for the caliber of the message, because it's not weird for mixed, passionate, controversial emotions to exist at the same time in the theater space.
Especially in a feminist surrealist one act.
And it's never been easier with the technology to capture that meaningfully with multi-camera 4K video
Woohoo!
for the internet,
Yes,
like I did for
yes.
Kirkos. You can see set 1, I think, on their YouTube, Kirkos Band on YouTube, but it's shot exactly like it's in the Greenfinch.
Nice.
It's so easy to do a spoken word thing. I mean, a couple of wireless mic options, not a big deal, brother.
Sweet.
I'm telling you. And then a small launching pad on the internet for people to see what's going on and to set up a way for them to help you fund it. I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think it'd be hard to do.
I had a website called zazagoodbreak.com, but I think I let it go. But I could maybe
We'll check
get it
on
back.
that. They may be holding that for you.
I hope so. I think it's a good name.
I didn't buy it.
Do you know what my last name is in Spanish?
No.
Freno Bueno.
Bueno.
Freno Bueno. And this is my hand symbol. It was revealed to me at Forest Park a few years ago. This is the old piece. So fuck the old piece.
Why are you bleeding?
Oh, sorry, because I had a hangnail. And then you snap your fingers and put your 2 fingers up. And this is the divine goddess legs being born breech back up out of the world. And this is women's thumb gently holding down the legs of the man, very gently, as they sit down and rest. They're weary, weary, weary souls. This could also be construed as scissors, because scissors are tools. We don't need weapons. We need tools. We need to use our brains and our hearts.
But
And our
please don't
pussies.
fucking try to stab me with scissors. That sounds horrifying.
It's a vasectomy reference, darling.
I just don't want to be stabbed.
No one's stabbing you.
You don't know that. You don't. If I get fucking stabbed after you said that, I'll be so pissed.
We need to lift you up. We need to lift each other up. We have forgotten how to do that. The conversation is so scary right now. Even the word, when I say right now, what do I mean by that word right in that sentence, in that context? We're always verifying this side and that it is correct. It's a failure of language. It must be stopped.
Corrected.
Retrain the brain and correct the mind. This is correct. Left is correct. This is the practice of letting go.
There are certain meditative or therapeutic practices where they say try doing certain things with your non-dominant hand.
What about, do you masturbate with your non-dominant hand?
I don't think I've ever done that.
Oh. Well, aren't you a saint?
Well, it's not. I mean,
Most people do it
I've
with-
just never gotten bored of my routines to the point where I've had to venture out that way.
Oh, that's lovely.
Like the whole thing with the autoerotic asphyxiation. I'm like, guys, what are we doing?
Most people masturbate with their non-dominant hand.
Most people,
Their gentle hand, as you would say.
really.
I'm not gentle hand.
You're not gentle-handed.
I'm
Okay.
I've never gentle-handed anything.
I need the coordination of my dominant hand.
It's really hard if I got to gentle hand somebody because they want to be on one side of the bed or something. It's awful.
Women, our meditation is not seated. It should be in movement. Women move. That's also how we get our power, which goes back to the dancing and connecting to the water. Water watchers, that's what we're called when we come to the basin and do our dance, because as we watch the water, it will well up and certainly flood the toxic masculine fire out. And then we just, I don't want to control the fire. We're just borrowing the fire. We know better at this time. And I think there's a good deal of men that are also agreeing. I think there's, upwards, I don't think there's that many toxic men that would score a 27 on this quiz. They get real upset, though. I had someone score a 15, and they got all red in the face and kind of huffed off. Boy, am I, the audacity that I've had lately giving this survey to people. It's not a scientific survey, of course. I'm going to get great results because I fucking wrote it. But I think it hits on some key things that we need to be talking about. How we use money, how we divide power, how we talk about sex, and how we talk about our sides of our body, and how we talk about Christianity. And most importantly, how we talk about violence. We're so violent. It's ridiculous. It's nauseating. I'll puke right here. It's so
don't
fucking
do
messy
that.
out
Don't,
there.
that's the one line I'll try to draw. I have places around here that you could puke. Not right there.
Not
though.
on. It's like no.
There's
not
a
on
trash
this
can
pretty
over there.
We
run.
got cans.
Yeah,
We're
we got
canned up.
cans.
Thank
I got all kinds of.
You know, I do think that it is something to say that I would assume a man, like, that he was mad that he scored so high.
Oh, absolutely.
On the toxic male scale, because I feel like they would be more inclined to be like, yes, of course I'm toxic. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like,
But that's the fire on fire, the defensiveness. Like, what are you calling me on? Of course, the Second Amendment's good. What the, you know?
yeah, it's like
I love my guns.
they scored highly because they believed in these things, and then they're upset that they scored so high, and that just feels like contradictory to me. But like you're saying, it's the duality.
And both nature of existence, of course.
Yeah.
We need more and both. Christianity is very or. Muslim faith is very or. It's either or. And it really does wipe out the existence of the feminine power. And that has to stop if we are to restore balance to the planet. We could reverse climate change with this stuff. This is powerful, energetic shifting we're talking about.
How many people get mad that they have to say no, that they've never made a...
Some people
Girls
won't
Court.
answer the questions, or they'll. I actually have had no one quit the survey, but I have adapted the survey, like to the priests, for example. I didn't ask them about sex, and then I do clear. I say I'm going to ask a very intimate question about sex first. That's what I say before I ask that. So everybody's finished it. But I didn't explain their score of 27. I didn't go into the scoring guide as much because the person was very flustered and they wanted to stop talking to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did thank
you're
them
not
for their
filming
time.
any of this?
No, I haven't filmed them
You
any
are
of
such
it.
a pain in my ass.
I'll talk to anybody about this, man. I think it's relevant. I think it's.
I'm going to send you that body cam off TikTok.
Ooh, baby, I want to get on ya.
How
and ride
are
ya
you
on
approaching
ya.
people too, or just like, is it just like the community that you're just like walking up to?
Man
like,
on the street?
Yeah.
I
Are you
ju-
Billy on the street in this?
No, most of my work has been done at the Crow's Nest.
Oh, cool.
I feel safe there, and I've given it out at the park too. The park is the only place I feel safe besides at home at this time. And but yeah, most of it's been those two places. And then I posted it on Facebook, and people got really mad. I don't know. I might be on thin ice with my job right now. I'm a teacher, and I love teaching my students, and I find no contradiction in what I'm speaking at this time about the world to be in conflict with my ability to run a classroom and teach the violin to 10 and 9 and 11-year-olds. I have a feeling the district might feel differently about that at this
Sure.
time.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting to hear back from them. I haven't reported to duty for a while because I had to heal from the psych ward for a few days, weeks actually. I did so much deep rest. Have you ever rested so deeply that you feel like you've healed your wound, like your trauma's dissipating and dissolving above your head? It's just incredible. That yurt. If you've never slept in a yurt,
Wait, where did you go stay in a yurt?
I stayed in a yurt for 5 nights, just in a place called Holt Summit, Missouri, really close to Jeff City. I celebrated the solstice there, and that's when I had the breakthrough about the play. Deep rest, though. Rest is resistance. Rest is radical. Rest is your ability to refute capitalism. We don't have to participate on this level any longer. I love resting. Now, I've been to 40 countries.
Really?
Yes. And the last one fucked me up so bad. I don't know if I can do it anymore. I went to South Africa for 10 days and saw
When was this?
in June of 23. That was my 40th
Didn't you have to get like
country.
37 shots to do that?
No. I did go on safari and I met this gorgeous Rhodesian colonizer descendant. And we snuggled, and it was the best part of the trip.
Oh, I do love a snuggle with a Rhodesian.
Oh, he was so adorable.
Oh my God.
Just a lonely soul.
Oh, Lord have mercy. I got some DLC for Super Smash Brothers on my Nintendo Switch this past break. Can't Keenan's family is a Switch family, so there's time where we played and there's this guy named Sephiroth from Final Fantasy, and he's got the most precious physique. I mean, muscles on muscles, but lean. You know what I mean? So,
So the vastness of human suffering in this world is not gone unnoticed to my heart. And I have just an enormous compassion for the 4 billion balls swinging on the planet, 8 billion balls swinging on the planet at this time, and the 4 billion pussies. And then, as a subset, all of the children children are born with no gender. We imprint gender upon them. They're born a certain sex. Sometimes it's unclear. But what we do is we imprint things on them. Like, you're a boy in America, you don't dance. And you're a boy in America, so you get to occupy 80% of the playground all the time.
it's so fucking crazy.
We
that you would say
enforce
that. It's
gender
so,
all
because
the
that
time.
happened to me. My first connection with music was late 90s, early 2000s pop music that was a lot of it had choreography, like NSYNC and the Spice Girls,
Yes.
and whatnot. And so before I even wanted to sing or play an instrument, I just wanted to dance. And I felt like that wasn't a viable pursuit for a lot of reasons. I am top heavy. I don't have the body of a dancer.
It doesn't matter. Our culture is sick that it gives you these informations about gender and these notions of behavior that are completely unhealthy for your body and your connection to other humans.
Because I remember putting Baby One More Time in my compact Windows 98. And that was the first time I ever saw QuickTime. QuickTime was the software
I remember QuickTime.
that played. It's common in your Apple devices now, but it was like a new media player then. It would open on your Windows 98. You could watch the Britney video.
It's amazing. And I think we need to let children just be raised in the vibration that they wish. I was always very awkward and uncomfortable being a girl. I didn't discover my femininity till I turned 40. I had a burst at 18 and a burst at 26. But then it really came into full bloom when I was 40.
Which is weird because you're 29.
No, I'm not. I walk that walk. I talk that talk.
What were you doing when you were 29?
I had just moved to St. Louis.
Why?
I had a broken heart and I was broke.
Oh, that's a good reason.
Yeah, I moved from Florida.
See, and that's why my great-grandfather built that arch, is so that when you go out there in the world and the world breaks your heart and you're coming home, the arch is there to say, welcome home, baby.
And we need to paint it pink, Lucius. Don't you think that would be fun?
I
Pussy
think
pink.
Yes.
I think if it was like hot reflective pink,
Yes.
like I don't think that's a bad idea.
Do you think we could put a hood on it?
Ooh, baby. Yes.
Get a little clitoral hood going on that arch?
Hood?
Yeah.
You're gonna put a labia
We have to
on my
Yes.
grandfather's arch? Where did
Yes,
did
to
you guys talk
protect
about
it,
this while
to
I was in the
protect
math?
it.
I like the way you're thinking.
Yes.
I'll have to commune with him. I'll have to go to Bob Evans and smoke a whole pack of Camel Unfiltereds to conjure him. But
Sylvester sounds like the type of man that could find the clitoris, so I think that he'd be okay.
Oh, God, it's such
Well-
a shame how many men don't know where that is. Oh, my goodness.
I'm just, I'm here to listen.
Yeah.
You've done a great job.
When it comes to this specific issue, I'm here to listen.
The way
And
that he
I
had
wanna
to operate
invite-
that crane to just so gently put in
You
that
notice
last
you ain't
piece
never
of
heard
the
no
arch.
stories about the crane operator missing the arch. You know what I'm saying?
No, it was
He
a
knew
very
exactly
precise
where,
operation.
okay, that we can.
You had to have the
Yeah.
most.
So, and I think as I have just as much of a birthright to speak on this as anybody, so I'll say it. If we wanted to do, even just temporarily, a translucent pink over the reflective steel of the arch,
Yeah.
I think it would be lovely. We got to buff it out real good first, get some guys up there.
Yeah, I do like a translucent pink. That sounds good.
Well, yeah, because and that's like how they do candy apple red on guitars is usually
Yes.
like a silver or a gold that they then just do a translucent red over.
Oh, cool.
So it wouldn't be that hard of a job then.
Not at all. You don't have to take anything off of the arch. You just have to add
Yeah.
translucent
Translucent
pink.
pink.
You could wrap it in pink plastic.
That's
even.
what I'm thinking. Like a big, like
That would be
4
easy.
helicopters all in a line.
And just going.
draping it with.
Get the drones to do it.
Drones.
I think it's going to take
Drones.
40 years. We could get it done in 40.
Yeah.
It's going to take that long to make the arch pink?
Yeah.
No.
To make St. Louis the first city of peace on earth and get pass all the legislation.
Oh, all that. Yes.
I mean, women, they're not going to let that happen unless we make the new story born. I mean, we could do it for fun on like what day do we? I mean, on International Women's Day with lights. Somebody suggested that. Like, do you have to paint it pink? Can't we just put some lights on it?
They've uplit it pink for Susan G. Komen, I think. Before.
Have they? Okay. Yeah, they've done some different things.
Because you can uplight it different shit. And like when the Blues won the Stanley Cup, they uplit it yellow and blue.
They should really make a waterfall feature right underneath it.
Here's my thing, okay, is how come... Brother, it would be so easy. You run two pipes, one up each side of the thing. Yeah. You feed it a little bit of recycled water.
Yeah. Straight from the Mississippi.
And you just, all you have to do...
Watertown.
All you have to do, you could just carve a couple of grooves in the top.
Yeah.
And that water's going to cascade 300 feet down beautifully.
That's how people have to immigrate to St. Louis.
And
you have to be baptized.
You have to be baptized in the pussy juices of the of the feminine city.
I was about to say, I'll do the baptisms. Then you said juices. And I said,
Oh, see, that's the thing. Sex is messy, and a lot of people have an aversion to these fluids.
Yeah.
I hate anything that comes out of a body.
Oh.
Anything that comes out of a body, I'm just not. It's
okay,
just,
well.
I was supposed to be a Catholic gay misogynist, and I ended up not being any of those things. So I'm living in defiance of the defiant being I was supposed to be. Well, and I'm learning. I had to take 8 weeks of birthing class.
Did you do Bradley?
No, we were at Mercy.
Oh, okay.
Where we're having the baby.
Okay.
And it was great. It was very informative. I'm so glad we did it. It's also like an exercise of privilege. Like all the moms were Caucasian, suburban.
Well, that's because just we were at Mercy. If you go to Barnes, there's just as many women getting trained on how to help children in the city.
Good. I hope that's the case.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
women. My mom told me that she didn't take none of that shit when she had me, and that she didn't even have health insurance when she had me. She had me at a clinic.
I had 2 unmedicated births. One was orgasmic, so I only experienced it as pleasure instead of pain.
I do have some insecurity about talking to you about this because you had your children at home.
I had them at home in a pool of water, and there's a pleasure and a pain center in your brain, and every so often you can get them to switch, and that's what I did, and it was very lovely.
What is that? What kind of front loading do you do for that?
Well, you have to keep your jaw relaxed and your brow relaxed, and then connect with the divine, eternal feminine.
That's the part I'm struggling with. That's the part I'm struggling with.
That is an A to Z.
That's a Z to A, actually, darling.
Sure.
But you're skipping.
Zaza! Okay.
But you're skipping the middle part is what I'm saying.
How do you connect?
So I'm relaxing my jaw and my brow.
Mm-hmm. And
then what?
Let your uterus do the work. I didn't have to push a single time.
This is where I'm getting snagged.
Yeah.
I don't have a uterus, so I just have to imagine.
It was just cascading waves of pleasure through me as I inhaled the divine, eternal feminine, and then exhaled all the 4,000 women that were breathing with me, having a child in that very moment at the same time on earth as me on that day.
You felt like you could sense them in the room with you.
Yes, and the children can see spirits after they're born as well.
Yeah.
But then I had the second child. I had her at the Mercy Birthing Center because of several good reasons. I walked in there. I'm like, I had a fucking orgasmic birth. People, get out of my way. I'm here to have a baby. Holy shit. That was hard. It was so painful because I was resentful of Josh at that time. I'm sorry, I mentioned my husband's name. He will never see this.
No, and we're over an hour in.
Okay.
So I wish we had started with an hour of softer stuff, but we can always flip it in post.
So, yeah, the second birth was extremely, extremely painful. Still unmedicated, but I had to have stitches with that one. I did not have any stitches with the first baby. And yeah, the second baby was just, it was work.
Praise God.
So painful. 9 pounds as well. No drugs.
9 pounds, no drugs. At that point, I start to think that you wanted that.
That's what I set out to do, and that's what I do it. I don't just talk about things. I like to do them.
No, I know.
Yeah. Well, this is a very special message I bring to the people of your podcast. And if people would like to have a further dialogue about these things, I guess I'll post this survey and we'll go from there and meet at Forest Park. It's too cold next week probably, but I'll be there at 3:30 every Sunday.
Yeah, if the storm is coming down, keep up with, Instagram?
Yeah. Yeah, it's Zaza Good Break everywhere on YouTube. and then on the Facebook and on the
Yeah,
Instagram.
this is what, your fourth or fifth time on this show?
Yeah, back and fourth.
Yeah.
Oh, and if any young like Generation Z or millennial wants to learn the alphabet backwards, I think it would be very good idea, because I think we could make that go viral on TikTok to represent the new story.
And not just to get out of a DUI,
No.
but also because what you're doing is you're taking something familiar and you're forcing your brain to experience it in reverse, just to remove how we take for granted the way things are put together.
Yeah,
right? And we're not really observing the full reality.
Well, the left is got the answer, and this is correct now over here. And so if we said the alphabet backwards, it helps reorient ourselves, maybe. I need a new song, too, for the alphabet, because we're going to be using that on the kids' show if anybody wants to write it. Because that LMNOP thing really fucks kids up. LMNOP in the song.
Yeah, it's hard.
It doesn't work.
LMNOP as opposed to PONMLK.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky.
And then it's nice because I think Martin Luther King Jr., and I just think about his contributions to society. And
oh, by the way, I would like to just let you know, in the kids that come on my show, they're all going to be with Kind Cool Kitty, and Kind Cool Kitty is calm and kind, and he started this kids club that all the kids want to be a part of, and it's called the KKK, the Kind Kids Club. There's no reason to have the motherfuckers that started that fucking organization own those fucking letters anymore. I want children to be in the KKK because they live in the new story. We're taking the letters back.
I like that.
Thank you.
I like that.
It's kind of controversial, but it's worth it because what do we have to lose but more children?
I mean,
we have more that would just thoughts and prayers. I mean, really? This is as good as we get?
I'm going to need a little more. I'm going to need some hazard pay or Kevlar, and I am a 4X when it comes to the Kevlar.
There you
gotta
go.
Wear it over your clothes.
There you go.
And I need like 6 plates. I'm not doing like a 1 plate. Like I need to protect all my organs. Okay?
All of them.
Or clean it up. If you're not going to give me the body armor, clean up the streets.
We can do this together.
Patreon.com/JacobV. When we digitize the survey, I'll post it there too, so the people that are really looking can find it.
Thank you.
Guys, we'll be back. Jacob V Weekly. That's episode 115. Praise God.
Goddess.